Welcome back to another episode of my podcast series, The Leader Within. Today, I get to introduce to you special guest Virginia. She's built her career in international business, where she was focused on marketing, transforming brands, concepts, and strategies into products and profitable ideas worldwide. In 2012, she ventured beyond the corporate world, became an entrepreneur, and founded Transformative Power LLC, and eventually founded Your Gift Journey. On top of that, she is a mom and an author of Your Unique Gift, Finding Life's Unique Gift Proposition, and Meaningful Freedom, Finding Freedom Through Wholeness. These books are aimed at empowering women on a journey of self-discovery, authenticity, wholeness, and personal freedom. As a transformative power guide, Virginia believes each one of us has our own gift, and to share our gifts with the world, she says, what we need are the tools to reconnect with the heart of our gift, our inner why, along with the courage, commitment, and desire to live and share a gifted life rooted in love, gratitude, and truth. Through her transformative journey, she's discovered that her gift is to empower others to reunite, receive, and share the heart of their gift. And that is why she's passionate about helping companies discover and share their gifts from the inside out. I'm excited to have Virginia share her insights because of her diverse experience, which ranges from working in the nonprofit sector to working with a Fortune 500 company to build an international brand worth $21 million to now her entrepreneurial journey, all while being a parent. So welcome, Virginia. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you discovered your passion and your niche?
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I would say that my life journey around my career has been a journey, actually. So, at the beginning, I work for corporate for a long time. And, I have always been passionate about multicultural things and, traveling internationally and brands and messaging and all of that, right? So I done that for years. And then one day, I decided to become an entrepreneur. And the reason why I decided to do that is because I wanted to make a difference in the world and I wanted to touch the lives of many people. So at the beginning of my career was only focused on the marketing aspect and the branding aspect. That was, my area of specialty. And then through the process, I basically discovered that as an entrepreneur, I really needed to have more internal leadership. And so, my niche has shifted around people that really they have a heart for something, a mission for something, and whether they're leading an organization and they're leading the heart of the organization to, they're innovators and like trailblazers and change makers, and they want to make a huge difference in the world. And I think the people I really connect with is people. I think they have this mindset of contribution, and like they have this mindset that they're here for a reason. And and what I've noticed is that a lot of times, right, people like us, we want to make this big difference. And at the beginning, we really focus on the outside, right? We focus on all the stuff we had to do and the strategy and like the messaging and, whatever, whether it's building our career to that, to becoming the leaders we're here to be, or building the company that we're building. And what I've learned is that, we really need self leadership to be able to accomplish what we want. And we also need a strategy and marketing. So I guess my niche has been, in many ways, evolving. Like I think I naturally really love people that are leaders. I love people that are making a difference. But I think as I've grown in my career, I tend to attract people that want to really make a difference in the world and leave a legacy, and that they know that in order to do that, they need to develop themselves and develop their skills.
I think it's pretty incredible that you're attracting these individuals into your life because the law of attraction is a real thing and it makes your work even more enjoyable in that sense, right? Because you're like, this is my tribe.
Yes.
So, from a corporate or an entrepreneurial perspective, then, who are some leaders or mentors that have come into your life that have positively influenced the trajectory of your success? And is it partially them being like, hey, go inwards, develop, and then go outwards. Like, tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah. So, since I have both, right, the corporate career and also the entrepreneur career. So, during my corporate career as an executive, most of the people I work with were male, right? So most of the leaders that I work with, really, yeah, I think I would say most of them were male. So I have one of my biggest, I think, like one of the biggest leaders ever that I worked with was this guy named Mike, and he was amazing. And he just had this, literally, he was like out of a book of a leadership, like all that you have read in a book, like he actually did it, right? Like understanding the why of others, like having a really clear vision, bringing people together, like allowing people to have their skills and gifts and talents and allowing them to use them, and bringing a team that was complementary around different gifts and talents. And I think for me at that time in the corporate world, I was a leader, because I launched brands globally, right? So I was an informal leader. I wasn't the boss of these people all over the world. And then, yet I had a lot of influence around how to brand and how to launch this brand. So, I travel around 19 countries. Sometimes I was in projects that involved 5,000 people. And then what I learned during that time was that, it's really important to understand why people want to be part of that group, like how to support them in gaining visibility for a global project or an international project, and really understand that it's not only the brand, but it's also their own leadership and their own career, right? So in the corporate world, that was basically it. In the entrepreneurial world, to me, I think the game changed a little bit more because I think I didn't have the whole team around me to kind of bounce, like when you make a mistake or anything. So as an entrepreneur, I think in many ways the stakes are lower and higher. So they're lower in the sense that you can put your goals and then you can make them as little or as big as you want. But then at the same time, like it's on you, right? Like if you succeeded, it's on you. If you did not succeed, it's on you. And during that time of entrepreneurship, I think I leaned into a more feminine approach. And the interesting part is that in my whole corporate career, every person that was really my mentor were male. And then in my entrepreneur career, I would say 90% of the mentors I have had are female. And one of my mentors is a neuroscientist, and she practices the art of balance. And she studies a lot of neuroscience and like how to balance all the different aspects of your life. And it's really been like really important tools for me. And also other women that are between 60 to 80 years old. Like I gravitate against women older than me that, because I feel like, okay, you're here, right? And then you're going there and you need somebody who already traveled that route. So whether, I have a mentor who has had already been an author, I have a mentor who is like an expert in resilience and mindset. I have a mentor who's like Zen, like so Zen, you know. So I think for me, I think I was able to see two sides of leadership, right? The masculine leadership, which is I think really structured and organized, and I think is really valuable. And the feminine leadership that is way more fluid and intuitive and insightful, and that there's more it's more like a wisdom type leadership. It's more about asking yourself like questions and then going inside of yourself for the answers. And I would say that my feminine leaders, they never give me an answer.
And would you say that at certain points in your career, the feminine style of leadership is more important to the trajectory of your success versus the masculine? Like, when does each come into play?
I feel like now as you mentioned, I'm a mom and then I have a son, and I think at the beginning of my career, I think I was in like the overachieving mode. Like I was still an overachiever, but then I was like, okay, and it was like go go go. And I think during that time, the masculine like was good, because it's like let's go to the next target. But I think it had a cost to to doing too much, to overdoing it. And then now that I know the feminine approach, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I knew that, like when I was in corporate, because there is more. I guess what I've experienced, right, with the specific mentors that I have had, is that I don't even know if he's a feminine, but I guess my own mentors, I think, are more balanced. And then I think are the people that I want to be when I grow up, right? So there are people that are really healthy and that they're really mindful and positive. So I would say for these mentors that practice a lot of like intuition, inner wisdom, asking themselves, making a balance between all the areas of their lives, and then making decisions that are holistic instead of making decisions that are only to one area of life. I think it's taught me to be, just because I can do something, does that mean, like, what's the cost of that in my other areas of life? Like, what's the benefit, of that decision in my other areas of life? And I feel like now I see business more as a vehicle to my life. And I think before, business was my life. So there's a different, I guess paradigm, but I don't necessarily know if it's really necessarily the masculine or feminine. I think it's more maybe the environments I was in, and at the people that I knew there. But right now I think that I approach life in a more, I don't know, I approach more life in the sense of like, what's the legacy I want to, give to my child, or like, what kind of memories do I want to have, with my son, or what kind of memories do I want to have with the people I work with? And then I make decisions accordingly, and they're more holistic than just a one time, kind of decision like I used to.
I appreciate that so much because growing up in an immigrant family, I don't think my parents ever had the luxury to think the way that we do right now, right? So
Yes.
sometimes I don't know about you, but I almost feel guilty being like, why am I taking a step back like this? But on the flip side of it, I'm like, no, 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 no. They sacrificed everything so that we can approach life like this, so that we
Yeah.
don't have to burn out on both ends, and so that we can create those memories and the legacy on top of providing, right? So thank you for sharing that perspective. And I guess switching gears a little bit, you've worked with the Fortune 500 company and helped them build an international brand worth $21 million. Like, that is very impressive.
Thank
What
you.
were the leadership attributes required to get them to that point?
I think the first part is knowing what you got, like it's knowing that, like, I was hired there because, this company only had worked with generic, like not the whole company, but this division of the company had only worked with generic brands. And, building a generic brand and building an actual differentiated brand are two different things, right? So this company was more technically driven. So when I came into the group, I was definitely like, I was not the common skill set that they have in the group. And then what I realized was, okay, I'm here because I am offering a value to this organization and the team by providing this skill set. So one of the things that I feel is really important is that we understand our talents and we understand the skill set, and then we understand the vision of the group and the whole group, so that there's alignment between the vision of the group. So I think there's a part of really knowing yourself and like what you have to offer. Then there is another part of like really listening to the team and listening to, like, when I was like, launching the brand globally, like I traveled to 19 countries. I sat with their teams. I sat with their marketing teams. They're the president of that particular division, to really understand, what were the differences, and then, so instead of like getting the approach of this is what I'm telling you to do and this is how you do it, I go more about, well, this is our vision and this is where we're going, and then let's understand how culturally we can achieve this vision together. And I feel like yeah, it was really amazing to be able to, go around the world and like being able to, like, I remember there was one particular country, and I think they were estimating sales of 500,000, and we were able to go beyond that. And I think it was really understanding the opportunities, the brand opportunities for that company or that particular country, and then understanding the synergy. So one of the things for me that I used as a strategy was, okay, if I think local, I go this far. If I think global, I go this far. And what I created was human connection and synergies around the globe. And I also understood what were the motivations of the clients to really have this product, so that the brand was built around people. It was not built only around attributes. And we created all these awards and created all these stories, and like we interviewed some incredible people. Like I remember going with one person I really, really love and trust, and going to capture their stories of leadership, and then like put them out there, and really recognizing the team, recognizing, recognizing all these leaders that we work with and our clients. So it really takes, I think, as a leadership, I think it takes understanding what are your skills, understanding how this skill is helping someone, understanding what's the vision of the organization, understanding how can you create more results and better results by thinking more global than just like thinking to your little spot. And also, how can you understand the cultural differences? Like, how can you understand each person individually and their motivation so they can be part of a group, you know?
That is pretty cool. And I feel like you're a business case right there of the value of diversity, equity, inclusion, right? Like the fact that you're able to create synergies across 19 different countries, starting from the inside out,
Yes.
I think is pretty incredible. And can you share a little bit more about how that experience shapes your approach to helping companies nowadays discover and
Mhm.
share their gifts from the inside out?
Yeah, so right now I think it's a little bit different when it comes to an entrepreneur, say, or a startup leader, or a nonprofit leader. I would say that in the case of a startup leader, a founder, or a female founder, it's like, what I teach is what I've learned, right? So what I teach is like, okay, just because I have an idea, right, and I think my idea is awesome, and then I go and talk about my idea, and then some people say, "Oh my God, it's awesome." And some people look at me like, "I understood what you say," right? Is that I thought like everything was a strategy, right? Like if I'm an expert on something, right? And I say I'm an expert on something, I have proof that I'm an expert on something, and then I go out, repeat over and over, then people are going to follow it, right? And then what I realized is not, that's not how it works. So how it works is first knowing myself, like knowing what are my skills, what are my talents relevant to entrepreneurship. Because as a founder and a leader, you have a lot of responsibility, and you're not going into a cross-functional team. You're actually leading the whole team. And sometimes you're leading things that you're not an expert on, and that are your weak areas. And then like, how do you lead somebody where that's your weak area, right? So you had to lean in, trusting that person. So to me, yeah, there's similarities and non-similarities. I think there is a similarity of really knowing yourself and your gifts. There's also, because you are more visible, because it's you and it's on you, and you don't have a whole team like behind you, is knowing how psychologically and in your mindset you react to rejection, you react when people don't get you, uh, and then being able to build resilience. And I think most people, I work so much in the first years around my strategic plan and my marketing plan and my target audience and like my lunch, plan. And in the last 5 years, I work on my mindset. I work on like leadership skills to lead other people into my vision, to listen and have a conversation around, how do people feel about the vision? How do they connect? How they don't understand it? And instead of taking it personally, like somebody don't get it, or somebody doesn't understand it, or somebody maybe doesn't see value in it, I think it is a conversation opportunity, right? To understand why, or maybe understand maybe that's not your target audience. Maybe, there's an opportunity to improve your messaging. But I think it's really complex, right? Because as an entrepreneur, or founder or leader or nonprofit leader, we're marriage together with our vision. And then when people give feedback, it becomes really personal and it feels really personal. So how, so there's almost like this really complex skill, I think, that it's loving what we do, loving what we are here to share, and then being really like heart center around it. And then at the same time, having a certain level of like, almost like getting on a plane and getting a higher view. So we are not so attached that we can hear the feedback from people.
Well, thank you for being open to taking feedback in general, because
Yeah.
I feel like some of the best leaders that I've met and some of the most successful companies are those who are willing to embrace feedback, but
Yes.
also having that true north to know, okay, what potentially could be distracting when it comes to feedback versus what is actually going to be of sustenance to help you. And you're not going to be
Yes.
able to differentiate until you actually listen, right? So, and I guess on the individual level, for those who are struggling to find their gift, what's one piece of advice that you would offer?
I will invite you to just like, okay, wake up one day and then just say, okay, if I was already enough, what would I do? And really, when it comes to gifts, it's about, it's almost like a windshield that you clean. And then like in the morning, you can look at yourself from perfectionism or from procrastination or from this inner critic, and look at yourself of what you're not yet. And and then some people have this belief that when they are that yet, then they'll do whatever they want to do, you know or some people have the belief that the gift is to be found out there somewhere, right? But then what I have found, and I actually have a program that I teach this with people. So what I have found is that really the gift is about perception, and it's about your self perception. So if you look at yourself and you say, wow, I can speak in public incredibly, or I'm an introvert and I listen to people in an amazing way, or I am a great artist, or I'm a great writer, an amazing engineer, or whatever, right? We all come to the world with essential abilities. And the problem is that, through growing up, we grew up to believe something about those abilities. So if you were so lucky that everybody thought you were amazing, you maybe grew up to believe that you're amazing. Or some people grow up to doubt that the people that told them they were amazing were saying the truth, right? And so really it's about, really thinking like, okay, if I shifted and I see myself as enough, what would I do? And then what would my life look like? And then what would the life of other people around me look like? And then what would the people that I could serve and help look like? And then when you really see that the way you see yourself has an impact, not only on you, but like your mood, the people that hang out with you, your best friends, and also has an impact of what you can do for society. And I think there is so much opportunity in society. And I don't know, if you give me permission, I can share a small story of some person that I met, which I was like, oh my God, he really inspired me. So would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I met this person actually on LinkedIn, and he grew up in a really poor place, and and now he has a school where he helps orphans, right? And then I met him through LinkedIn, and I was seeing all his things, and I was really impressed by his things. And one day I was like, let's meet, right? And I don't meet with the thousand whatever people I have on LinkedIn, but there was something about this person that really, got me. And then one day we meet, and it's like super dark, right? Like I don't know where he is. Like I don't think they have candles, like so it was like 11 p.m. for him, like the environment, like it was it was like really harsh, right? Like, but then somehow this guy, right, grew up in poverty, grew up in like I think he was an orphan at some point, and then he's helping all these orphans, right? So just after having a 40-minute conversation that was super choppy, I could not even understand everything he was saying. I was like, wow, this is the power of what really I want everybody to know. It's like you are a gift, right?
Mhm.
And if you wake up one day and then you like shift the way you see the world, and then now you're like, I'm a gift, then that's what happens, right? Because how many people in the world that we see that are like super inspirational,
Mhm.
they don't have like they don't have money, like like some of them don't have money, they don't have resources, they don't have family that believes in them. And I think that the whole society thing that we believe we have to have this and that and that and the other to be able to make a difference, it is really all about perception. And I think one of the things that is important to me in my mission is to inspire people to understand like the biggest roadblock for making a difference is you, and is your perception of yourself, and the biggest asset for making a difference is you. And then basically the answer is you.
That hits really deep because it makes me think back to those in my life who've taken the time to breathe words of encouragement or to see something in me that I've never seen in myself before. I feel like is what you're ultimately doing for people when you help them to take the time to create the space and have those deeper conversations or listen to what's going on in there, right? And I guess this kind of ties into my second last question as we slowly wrap up our conversation is from your perspective, what does it take to unleash an individual or an organization's potential?
And if I'm talking, say, to a leader of an organization, a mom, a dad, a leader of their own company, is I think in order to achieve greatness, you need to see, and you need to be able to see and hear, and then that gets greatness, right? Like if you have a kid, right, and if you have children yourself, if you look at your child, or if you look at the person that works with you, or if you look at your client with greatness, you are holding sacred space for them to be great. And I think what you need is sacredness. Sacredness to, I see you. I see your greatness. And I trust your greatness. And I hear your greatness, because I think we take too lightly people. And you may be a leader right now that has somebody in their board of directors, or you may be a leader right now that has employees, or you may be a founder, or you may be a mom, right? And right in front of you, there is potential. And right in front of you, that person that had an idea, that like put their hand up to share their idea, the courage that it took for that person to share themselves is often taken too lightly. The courage of the founder to tell you that they want to change the world, or that they created this new program or this new campaign, and that it stood in LinkedIn with their message, or in a campaign, it's super important. Like I really truly believe this. In order to unleash potential, see it, hear it, pay attention to it. And I think for me in my life, I've been really fortunate that I have had plenty of people in my life who have seen it for me, and they have hold it for me. And then whenever I'm not, whenever I'm around myself, like even a presentation or something, I remember their face, right? I remember what it felt like to have someone who believed in me, who see me. And I think, and then turn that inwards, because I'm sure a lot of you could really get in touch with what I'm saying for someone else.
No.
And then, I think the biggest mission is that we do that for ourselves. that we hold ourselves and we see ourselves and say, you know what? I have this whisper and like I have this soul desire, this heart desire. And you know what? I'm going to go for it and I'm going to say it because it matters to me. And it doesn't matter if like 20 million people say whatever, but it matters to me. So if I was going to see, somebody, right? My kid, my best friend, whatever. What about seeing ourselves like that? And what about hearing ourselves like that? And then I think the sacred space is something that we can practice for another human being. And it's also a practice that we give to ourselves. And I think what we do is like people, I think, I think what I've learned in my career is that I grew up with this, right? I have so many people in my life that have done this for me. But what I've learned is that not that many people have that in their life. And, so maybe some of you may not have had that in your life. And if you didn't have it in your life, I want to invite you to know that it is possible for you to give it to yourself, to look at yourself and say, hey, I see you, I see this matters to you, I hear you, and yeah, and really have the courage to really be seen and heard by yourself and see and hear others.
I appreciate that. And you got me teary eyed when you were talking about that piece because I think this goes back to the whole notion that like leadership is a really big responsibility. It's not just a title. And if you're simply in that seat for the reputation, and you fail to see the impact that you can make in people's lives, especially when they're spending a majority of their life at work with you, I think that is where it's such a big waste, right? Especially hearing you talk about the impact that you can make when you tell someone, I see you, I hear you, and this is how we can help you as well, right? And
Hmm.
create that win-win relationship for both the employee and the organization. So, thank you again for that. And as we wrap up our conversation, one last question for you. What's one thing that you're working on right now that you're super excited about?
So I'm working in a future book that I'm writing, and yeah, it's coming up probably next year. So yeah, and I think it's a book around really helping people understand the concepts that I was sharing with you, and and I also have my 101 consulting that I work with people around, and working towards really influencing and helping more people that are change makers continue to make the impact they were born to make, and making a difference. So yeah, so I'm working towards like I have a really, really wholeness approach this year that I really love. So
We'll have to keep an eye on that book next year. And
yes.
thank you for making a difference in people's lives, especially understanding individuals on a human level and not just from the perspective of you're another number, you're just another client, but you're going deeper than that. And because of that, they're going to be able to make such a big difference in turn. So I appreciate you sharing your perspective today. And to everyone else who's tuned in today, thank you for your time and attention. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for you to join me on my next episode.